All right, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. It's led by students from Gardner Elementary. If everyone would please rise. Thank you. One point three, approval of agenda.
I make the motion. Second.
All those in favor? None opposed. 2.1, presentation by students from Gardner Elementary.
Try that one more time. Hi, I'm Colin Stuckey. I'm the principal at Gardner Elementary. Thanks for having us this evening. I brought with me some of our fourth graders that are members of our PPLC. And guys, I'm going to have you walk over here and say your name into the microphone. Are you ready? Oh, wait a minute. You don't have to walk over here.
Hi, my name is Landon Parker.
Hello, my name is Jackson Keast.
Hello, my name is Kaylani Frazier.
Hi, my name is Lillian Pastor.
Hello, my name is Noah Garcia.
Hello, I'm Leela Hansel.
Hello, I'm Hadley Beckel.
All right, nice job, guys. So I brought them with me today because we're going to highlight our PPLC, which stands for Panther Pride Leadership Council at Gardner Elementary. Before I get to that, we have a little video we want to show you. I would also like to just point your attention to the leaves in the back there. Kind of to give you a behind-the-scenes look. How this works is when it's your turn to present, I immediately go to Miss Newberg, who's one of our IR paras in my building, and I say, hey, we need some art for this. And she always goes to work weeks ahead, sets a time with each class to do a little art project, and that kind of brings it all together. And so with this one, she had all 300-plus students each decorate a leaf, and then she put it all together in that fall display back there. So I'm always grateful to her. I want to give her the credit for that. But what we're here to talk about today is our PPLC. They are led by Mrs. Newman, who's standing right over here. She's our RISE teacher at Gardner Elementary. Our PPLC members are fourth graders. They go through an application process to become PPLC members, so they have to get a letter of recommendation from a teacher and from another adult and to get approved for the PPLC process. And then once they're in the council, they get assigned weekly jobs to help around the building, which our video will talk about a little bit. They also get to help and volunteer in our bigger events at the building, such as like the walkathon we had a few weeks ago. And overall, they take the leadership role. So they're learning a lot about leadership and responsibility and what that's like being the top dogs in Gardner Elementary. And so here's a short video to kind of tell you a little bit more about it. Guys, you want to come over here and we'll watch together? All right.
Probably so I could just help around the building and be a role model for the other kids.
So I could be a better role model.
So I can help the little kids learn.
All right.
So then I can that when I was in third grade, my friend Kelby, she was in fourth grade, and she did PPLC, and I thought it was really cool. And then she told me what she did. I'm like, okay, when I'm in 4th grade, I really want to do that because I thought it was really cool to help like clean the school and like help little kids and stuff and read flashcards to them and stuff. And because I really like to help.
Nice.
So, the reason I wanted to be is because my mom was forcing me, but also because I wanted to help around the school and help younger kids grow and learn.
I clean the doors on 200 Hall and I'm doing city hall.
Yeah, I gotta do the cleaning in the pod with the spray bottles. I'm greeting people at the front door. Oh, definitely. I love how when you're in PPLC, if you're doing a job, say you work with the 1st graders or something and you're in a job, then you see the 100 Hall wipers like for the door and stuff. I love saying hi to them, just like, cause it's so fun to like see your other PPLC friends, and then you're like, hi, like, how's your job? And it's just, everything about PPLC is fun. Put it that way. My favorite thing about PPLC would probably be when I go to all the classrooms. I can see all my friends that I've seen in JCPRD and out, because I see them in their classrooms. Sometimes they're acting out, but I ask them if they can stop, but it's always nice to see them. Just walking around, saying hello to the other kids and just cleaning. For me to help everyone else that needs help, because I really wanted to help around with all the jobs, to help out the school.
Being with little kids.
Okay.
Seeing the little kids have smiles on their face.
Nice.
Being helpful.
All right, my last question. Out of all of our PPLC members, you two were the 2 members that actually were awarded the Presidential Service Award, which is, actually, I'm not sure what it is. Can you explain what that means?
You did like so many hours of community service for PPLC, so you get the Presidential Award.
Nice. What were some of the community service hours that you did?
I held the door for people. I did a food drive. When people forgot it was trash night, I'd take their trash cans down.
Oh, nice, nice. And so you did things at school and outside of school. Morgan, did you do anything outside of school?
I volunteered at an animal shelter.
Nice work, nice.
will bring us to 2.2, presentation by students from Trail Ridge Middle School.
Is it on now? Perfect. Great. All right, you guys can come on up. They're going to get to share as well. I'm Jackie Hodson. I'm the mental health liaison for our school district. They're getting in their correct order. Perfect. Good job, guys. So it is my honor to get to share with you tonight about Sources of Strength, which is a new program that we're launching in our middle schools. Sources of Strength is an evidence-based upstream prevention program that focuses on our innate protective factors, the things that are within us that help us be resilient to overcome the challenges that we naturally have in middle school and in all of life. So at Trail Ridge, we trained 13 adult advisors that are teachers and staff at Trail Ridge, and we trained 64 peer leaders. And these peer leaders were chosen by those adult advisors to get to present and share more with you about this tonight. So they meet in groups about twice a month. We just kicked this off last month, so we're in the swing of things now, but they meet with their groups twice a month. This started last year at Gardner Edgerton High School in November, and now we get to kick it off at the middle school. So we're really grateful to get to have this prevention program across both middle school and high school levels. The purpose is to promote hope, help, and strength, and empower a well world. So I'll show you a little bit about how this model looks, and then you're going to get to hear from the students about it. So the adult advisors, we have 2 adult advisors per group, and they work with about 8 to 10 of the peer leaders. And they work together to create strategic messaging campaigns around these 8 sources of strength. I'll show you what those are in just a moment. And then that impacts the entire school and positively changes the whole culture of our school. So Sources of Strength is centered around this wheel. We call it the wheel that has 8 sources of strength: family support, positive friends, mentors, healthy activities, generosity, spirituality, physical health, and mental health. And these peer leaders are really instrumental in having voice and choice and implementing these sources of strength across the entire school so that the whole school, all of Trail Ridge, is positively impacted. And this is a picture of our training that we had last month to kick it all off. So now you're going to get to hear from the peer leaders. They're going to read our mission statement, and then they're going to share their source of strength as well. So I'm going to take the other microphone for that.
We are all a group of diverse students and adults from many different corners and cultures of our school and community.
We believe that life has ups and downs, that all of us will go through good times and tough times.
Our mission is to ensure that during the rough times, no one gets so overwhelmed or hopeless that they want to give up. Our mission is to spread hope, help, and strength into every corner of our community.
Our mission is to help students and staff turn to their strengths, their supports that are all around. We are connectors to help and strength.
Our mission recognizes that our voice has great power, and we use it to break the silence when someone is struggling and to connect them to the help they need and deserve. We spread hope by focusing on stories of strength rather than on stories of trauma.
We know our most powerful impacts comes from our personal actions, conversations, and messages that use our music, our art, our writing, our activities, our social media, our culture, and our voice. This gives life to our efforts.
We are sources of strength.
Hi, my name is Keaton, and I am in 8th grade. My source of strength is physical health because it helps me stay in check and it keeps me out of trouble. I play football, basketball, I wrestle, I run track, and I play soccer.
Hi, my name is Morgan. I'm in 8th grade. My source of strength is spirituality because prayer and devotion has really helped me through stressful times.
Hi, my name is Joey. I am in 7th grade. My source of strength is mental health. I use coping skills and self-care to make me feel better when I am down. For example, I snuggle with my cats.
Hi, my name is Camilo and I am in 7th grade. My source of strength is positive friends because when I feel down, my friends can easily fix that. Friends are people that really understand you and they don't care what you like or what you look like. They like you for who you are. They are people that can cover you and they can be a thing you need.
Hi, my name is Kennison. I'm in 6th grade. My source of strength is healthy activities because when I'm mad, sad, or stressed out, I listen to music in color or write, and it helps me calm down and it makes me feel better.
Hi, my name is Jensen and I am in 5th grade. My source of strength is positive friends because my friends are always there for me. They are so helpful, especially when I have bigger emotions like mad or sad.
All right, thank you guys so much for listening to our presentation, and thank you so much for having courage to share your sources of strength, and hopefully you can be inspired to use your strengths as well. And thank you to Mr. Martin and all of Trail Ridge and our school district for supporting this prevention program.
That will bring us to 3.1. I don't think we have anything there. 4.1, hearing of requests and suggestions of citizens and organizations. We have one speaker tonight. Ashley Smith.
Hi. Do I hit start? Yes. Okay. Do I push? Okay. Hey, my name is Ashley Smith. I am a Gardner graduate. My 2nd and 4th grade boys have attended Moonlight since preschool. My boys are bus riders, and there is no safe route for them to arrive home as walkers. White Drive in Woodson Lane crossing Moonlight Road is not in a school zone. No crossing guards, no lights, and has cars heading to and from the country at 35 plus miles per hour. You have to use your body as a human shield to stop 4 ways of traffic to safely cross. Kaysen, my 7-year-old, 46-inch tall son, was sent to this intersection alone. September 11th, I received a call from Moonlight asking if one of my boys should be a walker. I stated absolutely not and was told they will make sure he gets on his bus with his brother. 3 minutes later, another call from Moonlight. The bus was gone, my oldest son Bryden was gone, and my youngest Kaysen was just gone. I was told my 4th grader Bryden was on the bus, but my 7-year-old Kaysen was just gone. I said, gone where? And he was gone as a walker. I started running upstairs. I grabbed my keys. I ran out my front door and thankfully ran into my oldest son arriving home from the bus. I realized I was still on the phone yelling, "My son better not get hit by a car." I ran barefoot with my oldest son and got in my car to be stuck behind the bus Kaysen should have been on with his big brother. The driver stopped on Woodson Lane just before Creekside Drive to let kids off. And God helped me see my baby that day. Kaysen dressed himself in neon orange from head to toe, a literal traffic cone. I could see a little dot of orange on the corner of White Drive as cars were zipping by right in front of him, not stopping or yielding. I got out of my car, ran to the sidewalk, jumping up and down, screaming for Kaysen to stay put. I know he couldn't hear me, let alone see me. I was 500 plus feet away, behind his school bus, helpless. A second time I exited my car, I saw a person dressed in black approach my son on the corner of White Drive. This person talked to my son, eventually used their body to stop 1 lane, 2 lanes, then all 4 ways, and graciously walked my son across Moonlight Road to Woodson Lane. This person is a mother, my son's friend's mother. I do not know her, nor her name. I haven't thanked her, but I pray she hears this. I'd have never let my son cross that intersection without me or my husband. I can only imagine her thoughts of my little guy being there alone for however long, wondering what parent would expect a child to cross that intersection. I know you saw my son's fear and reacted, so to her, I thank you. As a mother, I was blamed for what happened by the principal of Moonlight Elementary. May I finish? Kaysen was let leave as a walker, then stopped by concerned staff. Another staff member ran into the middle of Moonlight Road to stop Kaysen's bus, but was unsuccessful. Kaysen was again allowed to leave the school premises multiple times. An investigation was done by the district, and they withheld information in regards to the truth of the events. Emails were accidentally deleted when I'd asked to attend this very board meeting. My son has a medical disability. Kaysen suddenly met his IEP goals and doesn't qualify for special services days prior to this very board meeting. I have only asked the district that the staff member be held accountable because this is not the first time my children have suffered under reckless authority. My son could have lost his life, every parent's worst nightmare. This was not my fault, and this was not a mistake. This should have never happened. Thank you.
Ashley, as a parent, you have my sincerest apology for what happened.
Thank you.
Our admin has informed us of this, but thank you for coming and speaking.
Thank you.
That will bring us to 5.1, grants and donations, presented by Heath Freeman.
The district would like to offer their thanks to the following individuals and groups who have donated to support our students, staff, and buildings. First, with Edgerton Elementary, we have New Life Church for snacks for the students, Girl Scout Troop 5225 with support staff with school supplies, Gardner Walmart for Store 530 with the help of purchase for art supplies for Sunflower Elementary. At Moonlight Elementary, we also have Girl Scout Troop 5225 donating classroom supplies and a basket of supplies and treats for teachers. The Berg family to provide students with school supplies. The Olmeyer family to provide new teachers with teaching materials, including the word sight puzzles. And then Girl Scout Troop 5225 at Madison Elementary as well to with goodie bags for school supplies. At Pioneer Ridge Middle School, the Friends of Johnson County Mental Health Center, in addition to Trail Ridge Middle School and Wheat Ridge Middle School, with the Sources of Strength mini grant with the presentation we saw this evening, I believe. And then also we have the Girl Scout Troop 5225, Michaela, Lily, and Allison with their baskets for school supplies and snacks and notes of encouragement at Wheat Ridge Middle School. Joy's Closet with clothing for Wheat Ridge Middle School. Ron Stricker with Stricker's Auction for pull carts for the high school girls golf team at Gardner Edgerton High School. At the district office, we have Price Chopper offering sources of strength training snacks for the middle schools as well. Domino's Pizza for lunch for the sources of strength adult advisors. And then an anonymous donation to student fees and meal accounts at the district office. So thank you for those folks for supporting the district.
Thank you, Heath, and thank you to all the donors. That will bring us to 6, consideration of consent. 6.1, minutes of regular meeting held on September 9th, 2024. 6.2, financial statements. 6.3, out-of-state trip requests. 6.4, approval of contracts and purchases. 6.5, approval of new building activity fund resolutions. And 6.6, approval of claims.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed. Nothing in 7. That will bring us to 8.1, DLR facility bond update.
Where's it at? I don't know. I'll see it. I'll let you figure it. Okay. Okay. Click it. Okay, that'll work. First off, thank you tonight, board. We had a really good workshop last time around. We had 10 groups of multiple, from the public to the teaching to the admin staff. They all had a lot of hard decisions to make, and they worked well together. We've got one more trip down that lane this month. I think we'll get through it well. Everybody they all have a lot of projects they like, and they see good things coming. So with that, I'm going to turn you over to Josh Earhart with DLR, and he'll go through his presentation.
All right, thank you, board, and thank you, everyone. As you may have noticed, I'm not Ian Kilpatrick, so Ian is taking a couple days to recharge the batteries, and we all love Ian, and he's very passionate and great at what he does. So I'm filling in for him tonight. I'm not new to the team. I've been in the team in the background throughout these workshops. So I apologize if my cadence is a little different than how Ian's presented these in the past. But as Mark said, we've been having some great workshops throughout this process. They've really been refreshing too. You know, we're in such a politically charged environment right now where you go home and every commercial is just slander. And it's great to come here where you have the executive team, the education team, the community having these great conversations, and they're agreeing with each other or disagreeing with each other, just coming to a common ground. So it's been really rejuvenating to go through the process. So with that, we did have workshop 6, the last workshop here, where we did a project called Build a Bond. If you think of it, it's almost like a game, right? You have a thermometer, and on this thermometer, the bottom is 0, the top is 100 million, which was that bonding capacity, and we also extended it up to 125 million, and I'll touch on that a little bit. And the goal was to take these puzzle pieces, which was either, let's say, for example, an elementary school or security or something. The groups had to make a decision of what they were going to put in that thermometer to fill that thermometer. And as Mark was saying, there were some hard decisions that had to be made because not all the puzzle pieces were going to fit in there. So it's fun to watch these groups go through the process and come to a consensus within their own group and then share it out. And some of those items that were discussed, these puzzle pieces, if you will, starting with the cohorts in the elementary school. It got a little weird right here, but we started with the early education center and looking at a new ECC or renovating Sunflower to a new ECC. And then we rolled into the elementary schools where a discussion of a new elementary came into discussion, because if you're going to take Sunflower offline, there's a need for another elementary school. Security, right? Safety and security, warm, safe, and dry is always a big thing we want to be focused on. So we looked at 2 different security packages, if you will. One to upgrade the existing security we have, and then another one we called Enhance that introduces an intruder system, if you will, to really up the level of the security systems we currently have. Then we looked at art renovations within the elementary schools, and the inclusive playgrounds was a hit across the board, had 100% support. We want our kids to have inclusive play, so that was great to see. And then some additional work at Sunflower should it not be used for an ECC. And please jump in if I'm moving too fast. Middle schools, same thing, warm, safe, and dry. We're looking at security. How can we elevate that security from a basic standpoint up to an enhanced standpoint? And then looking at some renovations, possibly adding or renovating orchestra rooms within the middle school. And then again, looking at turf at the middle schools, just for the swing area, the playground area, not the football fields, because if it's pointless to have a swing, if you will, that's accessible if you don't have the ground plane that's accessible. You could have an ADA swing, but if you have mulch in there, that's not an accessible route, so it makes no sense. So we want to make sure we have inclusive and accessible routes to those inclusive play equipments. And then obviously the grandstand right behind us, bringing that up to code. And then quickly through the high school and CTE, just putting new floors, paint, kind of freshening it up, looking at the renovation of the broadcast studio, again, talking about the security aspect of things, and if we want to up that outdoor synthetic practice field, there's always a need for space. These synthetic practice fields allows you to use it multiple times throughout a day. Even after a large rainstorm, you can go on there without having to worry about ruining the field. So additional synthetic and practice space. Sorry if I'm getting ahead of myself here. We had one here for an indoor practice space, right? But this would be about the size of a half field. Same idea as an exterior practice space that's multi-flexible, but this when you're protected from the elements. It's a large volume space. Athletics, bathrooms, and locker rooms. We talked about additional in a standalone bathroom out near the tennis facilities and the cross-country facilities at the high school, because we understand that it can be a trek in itself just to go have to use the restroom when we're using out there. So we explored what our options were out there. And moving on, down to the renovating the alt-ed building for trails, and then looking at a new alt-ed building at Gardner-Edgerton High. And then what do you do with the old trails? We're talking about possibly renovating that for a CTE program. And then lastly, the district, the new district service center, and exploring what opportunities that lends the district, and having a centrally located facility to expedite deliveries and better catalog what materials you have to be more efficient within the district. And then if that doesn't happen, renovating the existing district center. And then we have a couple remodels of either the lower level of this building or lower level of Gardner Elementary School. MEP and technology, warm, safe, and dry, right? We want to make sure all of our MEP systems are up to date. And then we started looking at possibly land acquisition, right? They're not making any more land, and it's not getting any cheaper. So the idea of, this is the time we invest in the land now we understand for future growth. I apologize. This is a little, yeah. Yep. You want me to hit enter? A lot of that was it, what we went through. There were just some pictures to support it. And we'll get through the build a bond here. But again, it's really been a great process and a great team to be part of. We talk about here early on how this process is really a three-legged stool. It's the education team, right? It's the executive team, the staff, district staff, and then it's the community. And if one of those legs aren't on board, then that stool is not going to stand. And we're going to be unsuccessful with passing this bond and planning this bond. So there you have see some images from these workshops. We had great engagement. To the left there, you can see an example of the actual build-a-bond here, where teams were building, filling out what their bond looked like, up to the $100 million number there, and then so forth. That they had an opportunity to show what almost made the cut, if you will. See if I can do this here. Okay. Oh, I'm real excited there. Sorry about that. So then we went through, we took all these groups options. If you look at the top here, we have all the groups labeled, and we tallied all the results and all the feedback we got from there. It was all on a weighted scale, you can see on the right side here. Then we took those, we met with the district, and we started going through what this looks like on some of the more weighted options if we were to move forward with that. And this isn't by any means what the final say is. We still have a workshop left, and we need to get consensus from the group, but this is really headed in a terrific direction, and we've had great support with everyone. And truth be told, we were trying to walk out of this last meeting with 3 options, but we just came up with one solid option because a lot of these groups were coming to the consensus by themselves. So it's, again, a really positive thing to see within the district and the community. And I kind of alluded to it just a little bit ago. We're going to go back and we're going to present this last option here during workshop 7 to the groups and see if we hit it, if we need to go back to the drawing board, if we need to make some adjustments and so forth. Jody? Yep. Yeah, and I added this up, and I think it came into about 115 mil. And we're still working with Newkirk Novak, who is partnered with the district right now on fine-tuning a lot of our numbers, because we want to get these as tight as we can. Because you can imagine if you're asked to, hey, what's an elementary school going to cost 18 months from now? It's not an easy thing to predict, you know. So, but we go reach out to our industry partners and try to fine-tune these numbers as much as possible.
John, if you don't mind, I want to just give a little bit more explanation on this one slide that we're at. There's an option 1 and option 2. The option 1, if you add up all those projects, comes to right around 100 million. The option 2 is just if we go over that, if we have some additional funds, those are the ones that came in slightly behind those that are at option 1. So option 1 had the highest number of votes within that room, followed by option 2. And this is a little different than they typically do it because typically they'll give 2 or 3 widely variant options. We had a whole lot more consensus that you typically see in these meetings. And so we're a lot further down the road, which allowed us to have a much more tight conversation come the next meeting, which is really exciting. So what he's really trying to get to is that we're pretty darn close. Mm-hmm. And we may be able to bring to this board at the next board meeting a conclusion from this committee.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say thank you. I've missed a couple of the meetings, but the ones that I've been to, you know, this is my second bond that I've been a part of personally, and I've really enjoyed the community involvement of this one. The last one I think went really well. We had a lot of great education and met with our citizens, but letting them be a part of this and actually getting to see where their passions were, but also getting to explain some of our needs. Even though one group made it so that Mark's district service isn't at 100%, it was really, really nice to be a part of that and get to see this build-a-bond process.
Yeah.
I wish, you know, some of the pieces would have been smaller so we could fit them all on there, but it was a lot of fun to be able to do that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Craig, I didn't mean to distract you.
Thank you.
Needed a mint.
That will bring us to 8.2, Human Resources Department presentation for the enrollment by Dr. Jody Marshall.
All right, I don't believe this takes a formal presentation. The information was made available in our monthly department updates, and spreadsheets are out there for the board to see and the community to see. So I'm not going to get up and go through these spreadsheets in great detail. I'll just hit the highlights, and then I can certainly answer any questions. So from the enrollment standpoint, let's start with enrollment for 24-25. This year's unofficial enrollment count indicates a small decrease. According to our student information system, and I picked one day, the Monday after the official state enrollment count, which was September 20th, so I picked September 23rd, a Monday. there were 5,868 preschool through 12th grade students enrolled. Again, an overall decrease of 30 students from the same time in September 2023. It was anticipated. The demographer projected a decrease for this year. In fact, their prediction was spot on. It was exactly the number I came up with, believe it or not. And the demographer predicted this decline because of declining birth rates, and there are other educational opportunities in our community that's having an impact. This year's kindergarten was 360 students, and it is the only grade level below 400. So again, the demographer was spot on. Birth rates are down. That's impacting kindergarten classes, not just in Gardner, but across the state and the nation. So if we factor in that last year's graduating class was 414, the difference between that class and the 360 that came in is 54 students. So our decline can be more than accounted for by just a smaller kindergarten. There is some good news. There is a slight in-migration of students. Those are students that come in over the course of the year. Traditionally, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've lost students over the course of the year. This year, we picked up over 20 students. That, to me, is indicative of the development we see in the community, the houses going up, so that's a good thing. I just also would point out school funding is largely dependent on enrollment, so you can imagine we're carefully monitoring the situation and seeing what impact this is going to have on our overall budget moving forward. Okay? We'll get an update on enrollment projections from RSP in January or February, and I imagine their numbers are going to change, and I would be even comfortable saying that they're going to go up. So that's my prediction. Any questions on enrollment? All right, let's flip to class sizes. Again, I think there's some good news to celebrate there. Class sizes across all grades and all buildings are at appropriate levels. I think this reflects and when I say the board, the community, our commitment to a safe and productive learning environment for all of our students. The average kindergarten through fourth grade class size across all 7 buildings was under 18 students. That's a slight decrease from last year. At middle school, grades 5-8, the average class size this year is below 23 students, also a slight decrease. And then finally, our core classes at the high school are in the low to middle 20s. The average set's just below 23 students, also a decrease. I'll focus on kindergarten for a bit. Again, we had a smaller kindergarten enrollment than we anticipated, so some of our kindergarten sections are a bit smaller than usual. This does allow us to provide support for first-time students, give them a lot of attention, a lot of support, which only sets them up for success when they get into first grade and beyond. So that's a good thing. And then also, class sizes across the district will allow us to accommodate absorb move-in students over the course of the year, which we believe will happen. So also nice to have some capacity. So any questions on class size? I would tell you that from a staffing standpoint, once again, with a lot of input from the building, frontline staff, from principals, we hit the number on the mark again this year. We allocated the right amount of staff to start the school year. So again, making responsible fiscal decisions and putting the resources where they need to go in the classrooms.
Can we just scroll back up to Madison? That's the one that I really want to focus on, just to make sure that, you know, they're obviously the one that's a little bit more overburdened than the rest of them. So just wanted to take a minute to kind of look at that. I mean, they look okay, but they're definitely quite a bit higher than some of the other schools. So.
Yeah, and to the previous presentation, this will either have to be addressed through a bond or changing the boundaries. Actually, Madison went down a tick, but it's still as big as a middle school. Good point.
Jody, I have one quick follow-up. It's more so to the previous one. At some point, whether it's January when maybe the consultant does a little bit more, will we see a presentation that talks and compares how our numbers decreases, increases, et cetera, compared to neighboring districts?
Yeah, generally speaking, Rob will have a slide in there, and we can tell him to get as specific as we want.
Sure.
We know anecdotally, I think every district lost students except for Spring Hill.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we can ask Rob to add a few more details on that
And every
specific
district
point?
is seeing the same sort of trend that we are. Low number of kindergartners, even though there's some growth in housing, they're seeing decreases in the number of students, except Spring Hill, which went up, 150. They are seeing significant increases.
Just one last point. Rob is projecting, these are last year's projections. Again, we'll get updated ones in January. The enrollment will start to go up next year. And then the following year, we'll be back over 6,000. And then the following year, we'll be at 6,100. So that's about when a new elementary would be coming online, folks. So we may be timing this up pretty darn well. Anything else for me? All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. That will bring us to 8.3, Superintendent Dr. Brian Huff.
All right, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight. It is an exciting time of the year for us. A little bit of a fall in the air, a little crisp Christmas in the air this morning, but a nice, beautiful time outside. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to get out this weekend. We have some exciting times here in the district because you can have the chance to meet with your teacher. Parent-teacher conferences this week, and we invite everybody to participate. One of the goals of the board is to improve or increase or provide a lot of opportunity for our parents to be involved. And this is one of the highlighted times of the year for parents to get involved with their teachers. And our teachers are really excited to be overworked over these next couple days with a lot of folks coming in and visiting them, especially the higher up you go in grades. And so if you have a kid in high school, those teachers want to see you too. So we're hoping that you all come and join us. I also have another good opportunity for you all next week. The Senior Citizen Luncheon is on the 24th from 1 to 2:30 at the high school. We have, I think, maybe 80 confirmed reservations to come and join us at that luncheon. Several board members already. This is an exciting time also for us to bring our community in. We believe that our facilities, our whole district, is part of the entire community. And this Senior Citizen Luncheon is our opportunity to give thanks back to our senior citizens who don't necessarily have a kid. They may have a relative in one of the schools, but they recognize the quality of our school district and the importance of having a quality school district, even if you don't have a child in the school district. And so we want to give back to them and also highlight some of the great things that we have going on. We will be spending a little bit of additional time talking about the potential bond. And I do want to highlight that even though we talk about the bond a lot, we are not officially heading down that road until this board has a chance to act on that, which will come up in the next month or two. But we do want to at least get people informed so they can give opinions, as Greg had mentioned earlier. We want this to be a collective decision. So thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for being part of our district and the exciting future that we have coming up.
Thank you, Dr. Huff. That will bring us to 8.4, comments by the Board of Education.
Always comes my way. I feel better. I know I steal Greg's thunder sometimes, so I'm not going to make any mention of the awesome parade because I bet that's on his mind. But I did, coming off of homecoming week, just want to thank a few folks because I'm obviously a big proponent, mentioned it time and time again, about being a one high school town, and homecoming week is a time where that really shines, and that game day experience, but not only that, leading up to the week, all the events that are a part of that. And I wanted to just shout out to the student council that put so much work into those events. Our student section, which if anyone here wants to argue about us having the best student section in the state, make time and I will tell you you're wrong. We'll find a time for that argument. But then also just how well our town travels to support our kids, and not just for football. But I wasn't able to attend, but for the event over the weekend, it was a full room for that event at GEHS for the evening talent show, and how well people are there to support us. And it just means everything to those kids, those students, and those teachers and coaches. But it's what brings me so much of that blaze of pride of being Gardner Edgerton as one unified and one place to be proud of. So I just want to shout out to all those folks that are a piece of that. It's a great day.
Yeah, I do have the parade on my list. That was really cool. I really did enjoy doing that. I did mean to bring some footballs for you guys. I didn't get enough for everybody, but we did get pelted with those as they went by, so that was kind of fun. Yeah, we were at the very beginning, so they still had some oomph with them. I will say the lunch ladies float was probably the best one. I thought that was pretty cool. I believe it was it mostly just the high school or? Yeah, high school. Or was it all of them? It was high school. Okay. Yeah, it was definitely pretty cool. Definitely encourage people to get back out and see that. You know, there were quite a few people there, but it easily could have just been the people that brought the kids and everybody that were there. So I would love to see more of the community come out there. Maybe some businesses get involved that support us. I mean, Heath read off quite a few people that support us monthly. So definitely encourage them to get out there. Bond. Again, that was a lot of fun to do that. I think my favorite part was that because the city invested in an inclusive playground over at Veterans Park, everybody was so excited. I mean, you saw that was I think that was the only 100% on there. Everybody was so excited at the possibility of creating that at our own schools. Because like Dr. Huff said, everybody recognizes that the schools is the communities. So being able to kind of piggyback off the city and make those inclusive playgrounds, that'd be really cool if the bond kicks off. And then the one not as pleasant thing, I just had a question on the consideration of consent stuff. Just if the board would agree with it or not. If I'm the only one, that's perfectly fine. But on some of the larger ones, I think those deserve to have their own, at least ability to be able to talk about them. We're doing some really awesome stuff in our district, and some of these projects are quite a bit bigger anyway, and may interrupt some of the day-to-day activities. So with some of the ones that are, I don't know, in my head, I kind of came up with 175,000 or above. Maybe we have those out as their own. Like I said, we don't have to do a presentation, but at least we're explaining what it is and have a little bit more info on it. Just my thoughts.
Okay. I had the pleasure of attending the first Real World Learning Committee meeting, and it was remarkable. There is a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of great people on that committee, and they're doing a lot of hard work, and that's going to be an amazing thing for our students in this community moving forward. So.
Just to hit on that real quick, is that luncheon every year for the real world learning that I attended?
Yes.
I mean, if one of you could attend that was amazing, because you get to hear from kids all over the metro telling their stories.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Anyone else? Thank you, gentlemen. That will bring us to 10.1 BOE goals by Dr. Brian Huff.
Okay, just some background for everybody. Let me get the, I should have had this in front of me. So the district has a strategic plan that was put together by a group of staff members, board members, through a process over last year with community members. And the board also, through board meetings and retreats, created board goals. So we had two parallel documents coming into this year, and the board challenged us to say, we really should just have one guiding document for this. And so we took that challenge, and the board got together and gave some direction through one of our retreats that we had earlier on this year. And it was a great retreat because it involved the board as well as the cabinet, and we got to brainstorm about how we can meld these documents together. Over the last month and a half, KESB has been working with our administrative team, and we've been keeping the board up to speed on the creation of this document. And so a big shout out to Britton Hart. He's the KESB member that guided us through this process. A big shout out to the cabinet because they put a lot of the work behind actually refining this document to the point that it's at. Our hope is that it fulfills a few goals. One is not necessarily the goals, but the action steps, you'll notice, are all for this year. And so you can go through the document and see what should we have done by the end of this year, not necessarily the whole goal, but action steps within the goal that are going to get us, well down that road. You're going to notice that there are far fewer action steps than what was in the strategic plan. The strategic plan was actually rather overwhelming because it had just a ton of action steps in it. The action steps here are narrowed down to the most important to keep track of. That is not an all-inclusive list. There are a lot of other things that are going on to try to meet these goals throughout the year. We just didn't list them in the strategic plan. So our hope is that it is shorter, it is well within a year to complete, and then it's a whole lot easier for our public to be able to look at and get an idea about what it is that we're doing. So we bring it to you today as an informational item, and that gives you all a month to discuss it, think about it, tear it apart, talk with the community about it, and we'll come back in December and hopefully make it officially ours. The big downside in this is that this is the strategic plan for the 24-25 school year. By the time we officially adopt it, we'll be halfway through the 24-25 school year. So we have moved our time to reevaluate this to the second board meeting in March. So we will hopefully have this done by July 1st. So we're going to turn right around and tackle this thing all over again 2 months after you guys adopt it. But that's important because then we can have it in a cycle of July 1. We have the finished strategic plan all ready to go because this crew sitting out here uses that to write the goals that we have for the district and to set everybody's plan up. So we need this document to be in place. So I will open it up to you for any questions or feedback.
I want to thank Greg for actually having the idea of bringing the whole cabinet in on this meeting. Created a lot more conversation, a lot more ideas, and I think a better product in the end.
Thank you. I just had a question on, just to make sure, this is just for this upcoming 24-25 year? Okay. Because in that meeting, we kind of found out that, I believe it was our, I'm looking at Heather, it was our science? What were the next two that that we found that we needed to improve our scores on? I believe science was one of them, and I can't remember what the other one was. Those will be on next year's most likely. So on here it says like the ELA and math writing teams for curriculum and stuff like that. And that was kind of to address some of the issues we found in our test scores.
Much of the science and social studies curriculum this summer because we knew that was going to be another heavy lift like ELA and math was going to be this past summer. So we're going to focus on those this summer.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was coming up.
Yep.
And I do appreciate this because while those 6 goals are phenomenal, they don't necessarily have the meat or give us the exactly. So it's kind of nice to be able to follow along with you guys, and then not that you guys need accountability, but also have that accountability for all of us to make sure that we're staying on that track.
Well, and like Dr. Huff shared, I think it'll help everybody sitting at these tables and coordinators if we know the priorities, or more specifically about these priorities going into the summer, because that's when we do the vast majority of our planning, and it'll help having that going into the summer. So we had to do that this last summer, kind of knowing what you wanted, but it was still a bit of a stab in the dark, so that'll be very helpful.
Thank you. That will bring us to 10.2, healthcare insurance renewal.
All right, good evening. It is that time of year where we need to visit with you about our healthcare plan for 2025. I'm going to introduce our partners. Michelle is back there. She's done a lot of work, but Matt looks like is going to be the key speaker tonight. You do have the slides in front of you. I gave you paper copies, but they'll also be on your screen. But I'll introduce Matt Wheeler. He is with Holmes Murphy, and Michelle Oldie, right? Did I say it right? Okay. I forgot to ask you for sure. And then Amy Jackson, our benefits manager, who has obviously lived and breathed this entire process and done an excellent job of advocating for our employees and for the district at the same time. And then Dr. Marshall's leadership as well. So I'll let Matt take it away.
Thank you very much, Amy. Okay, Matt Wheeler with Holmes Murphy. It's been our pleasure to serve the district for quite some time relative to healthcare and employee benefits consulting. I know that Amy, from a fiscal perspective, has submitted to the board the recommendation for 2025 because of the change that is being considered, because of the size of the fiscal investment by the district, and because of the labor and the process that the team here internally, as well as the staff-made benefits committee meeting, put into the process. We just wanted to share some details with the board about that because it was a heavy lift by a lot of the folks here in the district. The process really started, it really starts really after this board meeting every year, but in earnest it started in April with the benefits committee meeting, as we were monitoring data with the benefits committee meeting and then meeting with staff to take a look at what was going on with developing claims within the healthcare plan. When it comes to the healthcare renewals, the last 12 months are your most important scorecard to determine what the next year's renewal is going to be. And there was a number of developing claims in that first and second quarter that we knew was going to provide some potential headwinds going into the 2025 renewal process with United Healthcare. We have a snapshot here just about some of that utilization. In short, if we look back over 12 months for this data, claims versus premium was 123% loss ratio, and if we just focus on 2024 data, it was running at about 170% plus. So we knew that we were anticipating a fairly big renewal increase from UHC. We just didn't know how that was going to shake out. From a process standpoint, we knew that timing was not optimal just because there's a lot going on in the Kansas City healthcare marketplace. We have hospital contraction going on in Kansas City. It's produced price rigidity from a lot of the offering and quoting carriers. It's at the same time that there's an onslaught of high-cost pharmacy interventions in the landscape that are repeatable expenses. It's causing a lot of market aversion when there's high-cost claims in a particular customer's environment. It just so happened that those circumstances match Gardner-Edgerton School District. The other side of that is that those claims are produced because these are life-saving treatments. These are really important interventions, and that's why the healthcare plan exists. So the key was how to ultimately wrestle down a release that came out from United Healthcare at plus 24%. Was released in early July. The marketing process incurred throughout the month of July. The intent was to turn over every stone just because we knew in the landscape that there might be some market aversion. That was in fact the case. Locally, Blue Cross, Cigna, and Aetna are the other three insured carriers that are in existence. All three of them initially declined to quote on the district's risk. We also looked at the entire self-funding universe to say, would it be possible to self-fund the risk but buy stop-loss protection for the district in a way that would be more beneficial than where Blue Cross or United Healthcare had tendered their offer. And we even looked on behalf of the district at individual coverage HRAs to see if that would potentially be a better avenue for employees and families from a cost perspective. It turned out that none of the alternate options yielded a better outcome than where insured was, shockingly at the 24% number. So we went back to a secondary level, tried to reposition the risk back to the marketplace to see if we could engage in conversations. Ultimately, Blue Cross did respond to the secondary effort. They had been a former partner of yours over a number of years. We had worked to reposition the risk, to have them try to look at it in a different way, to ask if they could get creative in any way to offer a better pricing position. And ultimately, they came up with a plan structure and design that had some modest changes, but a really attractive price. And they looked at it as trying to resume a partnership that had existed in the past. That landed at really under half where United Healthcare was. It's at 11.3% is where that landed. United Healthcare had an opportunity to consider where those numbers were, recraft their fiscal position, try to be creative around how they are offering plan designs. In the end, their efforts were considered by the benefits committee, were considered by the internal team, and they ultimately fell short fiscally of where the Blue Cross offer landed. And there was a comfort level, ultimately unanimously with the benefit committee meeting to make a move to Blue Cross for 2025. So that's just a little bit of color commentary around the process. There was a lot involved to get it landed in a much better position to where it came out. We wish we could say that only Gardner-Edgerton School District is experiencing this. For all the school districts that we serve, the average, and there's 8 of them in the metro area, in the last 2 years, the average outcome has been right at 10.1%. We've had as high as a 30 outcome, ultimately wrestled down to 15 or 16. If we say there's a silver lining in this process that we're seeing in Kansas City, what's happening with our private-facing employers is when it might be 24, we might get a market landing place at 18 or 19. There was a lot of friction in this renewal process, but we still are seeing from some of the carriers that they're putting their best foot forward for school districts. We're grateful for that. Even though this is a double-digit increase, given what's happened in the marketplace, there's a lot of headwinds out there. Anytime there's a change like this, these benefits exist to serve your employees and those that are covering their spouses and children on the plan. This is change, so it has to be communicated. The internal team here works very diligently to make sure that employees have everything they need to be aware of the decision. A carrier change announcement is going to go out once this is approved. Over the next couple of weeks, there will be office hours at each school with internal staff. Amy Jackson, I think, is going to be manning the ship heavily for that, as well as a Blue Cross representative. Commensurate with that, there's also going to be all of the supporting materials that employees would need, from paper to video voiceovers to electronic information. And then Blue Cross has agreed to open up and support a supporter phone line where people can also call in if they have specific questions or need assistance for how to navigate the prescription drug formularies, providers, et cetera, from a benefit standpoint. So that's what the process is going to look like for education. The formal open enrollment will take place the first couple of weeks of November, all geared towards a January 1st of 2025 effective date. So that's kind of a quick run through of the process. We'd be glad to field any questions that you may have about what's transpired over the course of the last few months to arrive at the decision.
So first and foremost, thank you guys for all your work and all you guys did. This is something that really kind of sets us apart as far as our district goes. We're not the highest paying, but we have the best insurance, I think, around for the most part. What are the significant changes, for one, and then two, who do we currently use for prescription, and who does this change to with Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Sure. So currently, United Healthcare has Optum underneath their umbrella. So Optum is owned by United Healthcare. It just so happens that Blue Cross is also contracted with Optum. Now, the similarity stops there because they have their own formularies, or which drugs are on generic, preferred, non-preferred, or excluded lists. Here's what we know. There was not as much data available for the transition from United Healthcare to Blue KC as it was in reverse 2 years ago. When the move was made on the drug front from Blue Cross to United Healthcare, there was significant pharmacy disruption, i.e. their formulary is more restrictive and tighter, even though same name brand Optum, right? Blue Cross has their own formulary. It's driven to drive lowest net cost ingredient, but it's not as restrictive. So on the pharmacy side of the equation, we anticipate that the formulary is going to be a positive experience from what folks will see in that transition. The other major changes within the offering are heavily network-based. So when you made the move from Blue Cross to United Healthcare, about 80% of your folks were in Blue Cross of Kansas City's narrow network or Blue Select Plus. So part of the ability to get cost efficiencies in this plan was to be partnered with that network. So that is the major change in the offering. is that there will be some minor physician disruption. Outside of that we anticipate that is primarily going to be centered around Overland Park Regional and affiliated physicians there. It's a very small segment, we know, from hospital use within the district, but that's going to be a key piece of the communication process over the coming weeks.
So on the pharmacy side of things, they'll be able to shop around themselves. They won't be locked down like my work. We're locked down to only being able to purchase from CVS. So it prevents us from being able to even use the local, Walmart, each one of them playing off of each other and trying to get the best cost. We can't do that. Will they be locked down to a specific one, or can they?
Yeah, while there is a pharmacy network, Blue Cross has partnered with a broad one. So you're right, there are approaches you can take that says not Walgreens but CVS, not this store but that store. This isn't based upon a tight restrictive where you get drugs. So yes, if you're using, in fact, Blue KC has an opportunity where you can look at the same script and see if Walgreens or CVS is offering a better price, or if you can get it better at Walmart from a retail price standpoint, because there are modest nuances and differences there. So that is going to be open to district members for sure.
Awesome. The pharmacy, I think, is where a lot of the major changes have happened, at least in the private world. So most of the time the doctors are the same prices. It's the pharmacies that it's just gotten astronomical. So.
Yeah, the good news is that we definitely anticipate that will be the least disruptive component of the mix. It will be a different formulary. And so sometimes for things like I'm not taking this generic blood pressure medication, but that generic drug, blood pressure medication. So there'll be some of those changes, and that's a key piece of why the Blue Cross person will be available during open house, so people can walk through that for sure.
I have one quick question, and it's more probably directed for some of the staff members. Obviously, my family's been on the different insurance plans for a lot of times, and the folks we ran with overwhelmingly felt that Blue Cross was the better solution when the change came around. That was my small circle, but was that a feeling that was general, and will this help? This is a serious change for all families, so it's going to be disruptive, but I'm hopeful that maybe that was truly the case, that Blue Cross felt to be a better provider, and there might be some comfort when we make a change back to that familiar ground, so the place it's like moving back to your hometown kind of thing. Or am I speaking out of turn? Is that maybe not?
No, that's definitely the message we got from our staff members. And keep in mind, our previous run with Blue Cross was 7 years. Mm-hmm. So there was definitely a customer service piece they preferred a great deal. And then I don't know, did you talk about Spira? And
no, that's the other
they have their own set of network of providers called Spira Care, which was very well received by our employees. And so those were two very big factors in kind of helping us make the final decision. And I'll let Amy jump in as well. I'd also like to talk about how we're going to support families that might want to go out on the open market. Yeah. Just a comment or two about that before we close.
Yes, for sure. I mean, you mentioned shopping relative to pharmacy. One part of this education process is going to be Gardner-Richardson School District is subsidizing the cost of health care very similar to all of your peers. I think the subsidy is going up to $800 for 2025, which is going to provide plans that are at no cost to employees, depending upon which one you buy. There are going to be plans where you can pay some premium if you want a richer benefit. But the reality is, for those that are deciding to add a spouse or deciding to add a child or both, that's really a pass-through premium cost. So one of the things that we'll at least be informing folks about is they may find that incremental dollar amount between the employee and buying up to cover your spouse or your family can oftentimes be a more affordable through an individual policy. So we'll at least point people from an education standpoint to take a look, and particularly because these are age-banded rates. So a lot of times we'll find you may have a 20-something newly married. It may very well be that they can get a similar policy at a lower rate than they could just for that spouse incremental cost. Certainly not for employee, because to your point, from a calling card standpoint, what you're subsidizing for employee-only plans is significant, and you can have a no-cost option plan or plans, or upgrade to a richer one. But for spouse and or children to be added, it makes sense to just look. So we're going to at least inform folks about that, so they make sure that they're making sure that their dollars go as far as they can.
I'll speak a little bit to the budgetary piece of this. So we had set aside a specific amount. This will be slightly above that. However, the utilization and covering, we still have vacancies and individuals that are either not taking the plan because they're covered somewhere else. All of those savings should put us right at where we need to be as far as what we've allotted in our budget this year. We will obviously need to set aside that same little bit of money for next year, and then plan for, I'm sure, an increase. But we do feel like that this is the best option with the district bumping up against that budgeted amount. This is the best option for our employees. We could have had other plans. We could have stayed with UHC, saved the district a little money, but it would have been on the backs of our employees, and it would have been in those individuals that are purchasing for to cover their children, to cover their spouse or their whole family. And we just didn't feel like that was, again, the recruitment and retention piece didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. So since this was in the budget, we felt like this, and with all of the feedback we've received over the last couple of years from our employees wanting to go back to Blue Cross, we felt like this was a really good opportunity to do what's right across the board, and we all felt really good about that. The other piece of that is just thinking about the SpiraCare. That was, again, as Jody mentioned, very well received. Every single plan has SpiraCare eligible, so if you, all but the HDHP plan, if you go to SpiraCare, you pay nothing to go into that door, and they will see you, they'll do immunizations, they'll do, all of the other types of visits. That's pretty centrally located at 135th and I-35. It's not exactly where, it's not right here. Maybe they will put one here, but they have expanded their network since we were west with them. And then also they have individuals in there that, like, if I needed to have a surgery or if I needed to have procedures that they couldn't do, there is an advocate inside SpiraCare that will help you make the best selection for your family, for you, for your budget. So we really felt like that customer service piece is something that is going to more than pay for itself with our employees.
Is there any kind of appetite or even a benefit of talking to other schools, school districts, and becoming like a co-op and seeing if we can't, all join together and get a cheaper rate? I know the bigger you are, usually the cheaper it goes, but obviously the risks are different for each district, so I didn't know how that looked.
It's possible. Some of the co-op rules are tighter in the state of Kansas to navigate multiple employer welfare organizations, which is kind of the hoops you have to jump through. I know there was some level of conversation roughly a decade ago, right around the advent of the ACA. So a lot of it is about, I think some of the conversations that happened at the time stalled out because one district's pricing might be here, one district's pricing might be here. How do you end up doing it to where it's a win for everybody? But I think as things can be explored, we've certainly had some adjacent districts mention the same conversation. So I think it's something that could be explored down the road to see if it could be done.
Closing comment. As a leadership team, we're not looking for a pat on the back for the job we're supposed to do, because this is what we're supposed to do, but we fought fiercely to get as much coverage as we could for our employees and drive the costs down. And the two Amy's in particular put in a lot of work, and we're grateful for the partnership with Matt and Michelle. So I think this is, I don't know that I want to call it a happy ending, but I think this is a very positive ending for our employees.
One quick question. When we discussed this 2 years ago, when we switched from Blue Cross, it seems like there were only like single-digit number of employees that were affected that would have to find a new physician. Are we looking at a similar number going back?
I think that, Michelle, you looked at some of the key numbers there. Percentage standpoint, I think it's going to be close. It's probably not single-digit employees.
When you made the switch 2 years ago, at the time, Blue KC, who's historically one of the most flexible carriers to work with, and they give a lot of data. So when you make a change like that from one carrier to the other, Blue KC provided a lot of information for us to know that. United Healthcare does not. So they did not provide any of that kind of data this time around. So it's hard to stand here today and say exactly that. We know there's going to be some. but we don't feel it's going to be a great amount of people. So we did have a little bit of, anecdotal data to know how many might be impacted by, a St. Luke's, Overland Park Regional, and Renora. Small percentages, but there's going to be some.
If I remember right, too, some of the people who lost a physician, it was a physician they may have gone to once, and it wasn't a primary physician. It was like they'd gone to this certain clinic for certain care, and it wasn't a huge deal to lose that one physician.
Yeah, great memory. And typically what we find when you do have some disruption like that is typically the types of specialists that you don't see on an ongoing, regular basis. Sometimes it's a chiropractor or something like that. So
the
you're right.
point is that there is a tremendous amount of overlap in physicians who qualify as providers in both of these, in both United and for Blue KC.
Yeah. So Blue KC offers two types of networks. One is Preferred Care Blue, one's Blue Select Plus. Most of the doctors nowadays take multiple networks under the carrier. So it's very common. So it's going to be very important for Amy when she goes out with Blue Cross in the next 2 weeks and goes to every building. It's a great time for the employee to come in and sit down and look up their provider. Nowadays, what we're finding is it's very common for if a doctor takes Blue Select Plus, they also take Preferred Care Blue. So we're going to find, I think, that their doctor is going to be in both networks. And so there shouldn't be a lot of disruption.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of disruption moving from Blues to United Healthcare, while from the standalone physicians, it was a relatively small disruption because it was the network overlays. The SpireCare was actually the biggest disruptor from people that had used that as their primary care facility because it is a Blue Cross siloed solution. So there was a significant number of members that were using that as a primary care home. That went away. So it's almost a trade-off going back the other direction, and some of the network get backs this direction.
Thank you. All right, this is an action item.
I move that we approve the employee health care insurance contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City for the 2025 plan year as recommended by the Benefits and Finance Committee.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed. That will bring us to 10.3, executive session for personnel.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss the human resources personnel report pursuant to non-elected personnel, exception under comma, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 7:45 p.m. The board would like to invite Dr. Huff, Dr. Marshall, Dr. Booth, Christy Witter, Heather Peak, and Mark Meyer into executive session.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss the human resources personnel report pursuant to non-elected personnel, exception under comma, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 7:55 PM.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed. All right, we'll call us back into session and move on to 10.4, action on personnel.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed. 10.5, executive session for safety and security.
Let's go 20.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss school security pursuant to the exception under COMA for school security matters to ensure the security of the school, its buildings and/or its systems is not jeopardized, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8:15. The board would like to invite Dr. Huff, Dr. Booth, Dr. Marshall, Andy Price, Amy Drogemeyer, Mark Meyer, Mark DeWitt, and Heather Peak into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? None opposed.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss school security pursuant to the exception under comma for school security matters to ensure the security of the school, its buildings, and/or its systems is not jeopardized. And the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8:30.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed. Call us back in session and move on to 10.6, executive session for land and property acquisition.
Start with half an hour.
Real? Really?
All right, 15 minutes, and we'll see who's right. What do you think?
Do you want a half an hour?
Go, go.
Okay, I'll just do a half an hour. Okay. Motion to go into executive session to discuss potential properties for land acquisition pursuant to the exception for preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property under coma, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 9 p.m. The board would like to invite Dr. Huff, Dr. Booth, Dr. Marshall, consultants Mark DeWitt, and Amy Drogemeyer into executive session.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss potential properties for land acquisition pursuant to the exception for a preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property under coma, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 9:15 p.m.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed.
Everybody's walking out of the room.
Back into session and to 11.1, adjournment of meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? None opposed? 12.1, the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, November 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. here in the board office.